Everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Tamara Beckford Show. Okay, so I know I said I'm usually very excited, and I would be lying if I didn't say that I'm excited again, because today we are talking about skin. We're talking about glowing skin, healthy skin, and I have the one and only Dr. Mina here who is going to give us all the secrets. She has agreed to tell us all the secrets about having glowing skin without really a lot of excess products. So let's dive in. Let me just introduce our lovely guest here in our wonderful fashion, right? But before we go through all of that, I know some of you guys are like, really? Wow. Geez, I might not be able to catch all of today's podcast. Have no fear because this wonderful podcast episode will be available on our Your Caring Docs website. Yes, just click urcaringdocs.com. You'll see Dr. Mina's beautiful face. Click listen here, and you'll be able to hear all of the episode. And if you are a wonderful doc, just like Dr. Mina, and you want to let the world know about all the beautiful things you're doing inside and outside of clinical medicine, do not hesitate to send me an email at drbeckford@yourcaringdocs.com, and we will get you on the show. Do keep in mind, we are booked out a couple months in advance, but that's because you guys are so awesome and you're doing such amazing things inside and outside of clinical medicine. Alrighty, so let's get started. Okay, Dr. Mina, who is our wonderful Dr. Mary Alice Mina. She's a graduate of Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. Now, not only did she graduate there, but she graduated at one of the top of her class. So Dr. Mina is coming in with a lot of studying, hard work, and then after that, she decided to go to dermatology, and she'll let us know all about that. And she did her dermatological training at Harvard Medical School. Then she said, you know what? I want to learn more. So she did dermatological surgical training at Mohs at Emory University. She's a practicing dermatologist at the Baucom and Mina Derm Surgery in Atlanta. And she's the Mina from the Baucom and Mina, if you haven't noticed, right? And today she's going to give us some exclusive conversation to reveal secrets about skin health and explain why keeping it simple is key. In addition to that, we're going to talk about diet, hydration, lifestyle, and all of that, and how to achieve this beautiful balance of a skin using those techniques. Now, if you are listening, you're like, wow, Dr. Mina's name sounds so familiar. Where have I heard her before? That's because you've heard her on her wonderful podcast, Skin Reel. So this is the Dr. Mina, who is the founder of the podcast, The Skin Reel, right? So she's going to drop all of these lovely gems today. Let's introduce and give a warm welcome to the one and only Dr. Mina. Wow, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I love the applause.
Yes, me too. I was like, why come in with loud and applause, right? We're all that fabulous. It's like coming in on stage and getting your award. Why not?
Absolutely.
All righty. So, Dr. Mina, you're doing so many great things right now. You're doing a dermatological surgery, you're a podcaster. I'm pretty sure that you're doing all of these additional things down there in Atlanta. But before we got to this phase, we had Mary Alice. So tell us about when you decided, you know what, I want to go into medicine. When did that come about? Give us a story.
Well, I have a little bit of a unique story, or not the traditional path, which probably may resonate with a lot of the listeners. I didn't decide to go to medical school until I was 21. And I actually was a ballet dancer for all of my childhood into high school. I went to a performing arts boarding school, and I also was dancing right out of high school. And my plan was to be a classical ballet dancer for the rest of my life.
I love
it. And my dad's a doctor, and he never tried to push me into medicine, and he also never dissuaded me from the arts. And I had to come to the realization on my own at around 21 when I got injured.
Mm.
This is a tough career, and I'm not always going to have my parents to fall back on, and I may not always be able to dance and have a successful career. And I'm probably always going to be juggling multiple jobs to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't even know what else I was good at. My whole identity was wrapped up into being a ballet dancer, which now that I'm a doctor, I sort of see how, as physicians, our
Mm-hmm.
identity really gets wrapped up into that. You spend so much time training, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard, only the strong survive. And so my identity really was being a dancer, and it was very hard to know what else I could do.
Wow.
I had to do a good bit of soul searching, and I knew I always liked science. I always found school interesting, and I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I thought about physical therapy. I was seeing a physical therapist. I had worked with him as a dancer. And then in the back of my head was medicine. A lot of family members are doctors. And I just one day, asked my dad, what does it take to become a doctor? I don't think I'd ever asked him that before. And when I realized, okay, it's not as overwhelming or as impossible as I
Mm-hmm.
thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of knew these are the courses I have to take in college. Then I take the MCAT. And like a lot of your listeners know, when you go to medical school, you kind of jump on this train and you just sort of know where the stops are, and you just
Yes.
plug on to the next one, and you graduate. Then you plug on to your residency, you take your boards,
Absolutely.
and it's a very defined trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of hopped on that train, and I've loved it. It's been a great ride. I love that I've gotten to have that sort of artistic part of my life when I was younger, and now having that more medical science background too. And I have a feeling you're going to ask me why dermatology. And
I absolutely will.
I think that dermatology really blends my artistic side, especially
Mm-hmm.
surgery and
Mm-hmm.
cosmetics, with the medical aspect. And I think from the moment I said I'm going to go to med school, and then I said I think I'm going to be a dermatologist,
Oh,
and
wow.
that I just kind of knew. I just thought I really like that field. I love the visual aspect of dermatology too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I don't think not everyone loves that. I'm not into physiology. I'm not into doing equations and math, and
So
but
we've already gotten rid of especially nephrology.
absolutely.
We've gotten rid
Nephrology,
of some of that.
anesthesia,
The
even
anesthesia,
peds.
we took anesthesia out.
My dad's a neonatologist, and I'm like,
Oh,
those little
we took out
babies, and
anything in the pediatric realm out because we have to calculate the doses for different
absolutely.
phases.
Absolutely. I love in dermatology, I can look at something and know what it is. And,
Mm.
just having that visual acuity, I just love it. And dermatology's been a great fit for me. It's been a wonderful career. It is a wonderful career, and I
Mhm.
love it. And I love talking about the skin.
One of the things as I think about your the background in dancing and then medical school, there is a parallel in both of those careers that you chose because I'll say you had the dancing career for a while, in that there's one of the thing that brings both of them together is discipline,
Yes.
a lot
Yes.
of discipline. um Anything in the arts, especially in dancing, with choreography, and doing it at the level that you're doing, requires a lot of discipline. It's not I don't feel like exercising today. I don't feel like stretching before I do, my performance. I don't feel like. You will have to move beyond the don't feel like and really continue with the disciplined mindset, because you're not going to see the reward immediately. in both of those careers. So you're
Absolutely.
practicing your moves, you're probably just learning pieces of it at a time, and then in the end you have this beautiful choreographed set. You have this beautiful dance that you're performing for others, but when you learned it in parts, and you probably didn't see the complete picture until after a while, but you have to trust the process, right? The
Absolutely.
same thing with medicine. I mean, like you said, you jump in, discipline, the studying, the even if I don't feel like it, the
Um,
delayed gratification, both. So you did this twice.
right. And it also becomes such an identity. I think we all
Yes.
identify with being a doctor is such a huge part of who I am. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be the only thing, and I think that's what
Absolutely.
sometimes doctors struggle with,
Yes.
and as a dancer, I struggled with,
Mm-hmm.
but it does take on it's such a huge part of your life. You devote so much time, so much
Yes.
energy, so much money, all that discipline that
Mm-hmm.
it really becomes your persona.
Yeah, in the end. And so I love now that you have decided, okay, this is something that I do, but this is not only who I am. You've had two opportunities to step into that world because of, like, as you mentioned, when you've dedicated so much time to a craft, and both of them are crafts, right? Medicine is a craft, and so is dancing or any other career that anyone who's listening has dedicated years and years and years towards developing. You form that as your identity. Tamara the blank. Mina, Dr. Mina, well, the doctor. Mary Alice,
Mhm.
the dancer. Mary Alice, the blank. So now we're stepping in and we're recognizing that, we can do other things in addition to this. This is just part of who we are. This is
Yeah.
just one aspect of our life. We have really so much more to give to this world. And, you recognize that early, even though there was an injury that brought you to that phase, that you're like, I love, and there's this thing back there, medicine. I love that you went to your dad. You're like, so how does this thing whole thing work? And your dad must have been like, oh, now you're asking at
Right.
21.
Right.
So all right, so now we're here, and you've dedicated your life to this, to one of the fields that, for those who are not in medicine, they see dermatology as only the cosmetic aspect, but it's one of the challenging fields because, as you mentioned, you have to be able to recognize things by sight. And a lot of us, we're kind of like, this kind of looks like it. I'm always trying to contact my derm people, like, if you say the word rash, we're like, ah. The derm people are like, bring it on.
Yeah, send me a photo.
Send me a photo. I love this. This is my wheelhouse. Let's dig it
Yes.
in. So now you're there, but you decided not just to stop at like the derm section, but you went a little further to dermatological surgery. So tell me what made you decide to go in that aspect, and then kind of give those who are listening and viewing what an idea of what dermatological surgeons do.
Yeah. So uh, you in dermatology, it's one of those fields that we do. I think people don't, even other doctors don't necessarily realize this. There is on our board exam, it's
Mhm.
not just rashes and clinical dermatology. We also take care of pediatric patients. So we do
Mhm.
babies, newborns, all the way up till end of life. So we see pediatrics and adult patients.
Mhm.
And we also do dermatopathology, which is looking at skin lesions under the microscope. Now,
Yeah.
you can also get board certified to be a dermatopathologist, but just in your regular dermatology training, you're also getting pathology training as well. And same thing with surgery. So all dermatologists get surgical training, cosmetic, laser, all of that.
Mhm.
I really wanted to take it a step further and really train to do Mohs micrographic surgery, which
Mhm.
is a technique to remove skin cancer,
Mm.
where you get to kind of play three roles, which is fun. You get to be the one to remove the cancer, and then you get to be the pathologist who looks at the tissue under the microscope. And then you get to be the reconstructive surgeon who repairs the defect. So it's a 3-in-1 bundled procedure for patients, and it's all done outpatient in one visit for them.
Oh,
And
in one visit?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. I'm
So
here thinking about 3 visits.
no, it's all done in one day. Sometimes it can be a long day, but a lot of
Mhm,
times it's an hour and a half or so. If it's a pretty straightforward case, and if you only have to go in once, it can be pretty short. More complicated ones take a little bit longer, but it requires a lab. It requires a whole setup, histotex,
mhm,
CLIA, and things like that. So it takes it to a next level. Your average dermatologist is not going to want to invest the time and the money to set up Mohs if you're not doing it on a regular basis. So in
mhm,
my practice, we do Mohs every day. Tend to start in the
mhm,
morning, and typically they're done in the afternoon, but sometimes not always.
mhm,
But I we also do larger lipomas and cyst and things like that,
mhm.
as well as cosmetic procedures too, under with tumescent anesthesia, where the patients don't have to actually be put to sleep with general anesthesia. So I wanted to be able to incorporate all of those into my practice, and I really felt like getting a fellowship training and getting a board certified would really
Mhm,
allow me to really hone my skills with that. And I love kind of working with my hands and
mhm.
the fine motor skills involved with surgery. And I'm also a problem solver. I like to have a problem, see a skin cancer, cut it out, and fix it.
I
And you can't
love
do
that.
that with all derm conditions. There are a lot of chronic conditions, and
Mhm.
I like the process with surgery.
To
And
just get it
yep,
done.
get a fix it, and it's done. So
Oh, wonderful. Yes, as we were talking about dancing, I love that I did have one of a fellow ballet dancer also on. I don't know if you've met the wonderful Dr. Linda Bluestein.
no,
Yeah, yeah, she did classical training and she is a ballet dancer also.
oh,
And
wonderful.
she is the founder, yep, of Hypermobility MD, where she also still helped dancers. So
That's
both of
wonderful.
you, as soon as you told me this, I'm thinking like, yes, Dr. Linda Bluestein. I'll connect you two. You guys will have a
Yeah, that's
great time talking about ballet.
yes. I very briefly thought, well, maybe I'll do orthopedics for dance, and then I realized I don't have that personality.
Love, love, love. Alrighty. So, I love that you're talking about the skin cancer that you're able to, which just still blows my mind that all of this is happening at one visit, which it
Oh.
blows my mind. And I love the fact that it can get done that way. Identify, remove, do the what we call the histopathology. And of course, we also have another dermapathologist, Dr. Joanna Moore. She's a lovely
Yes,
doctor.
yes.
Yeah.
We train together.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she's my
Yeah.
friend. So hello, Dr. Moore. And then from there, you're able to repair. So, you're coming out brand new, literally,
Right.
because you've removed this dangerous thing that's been within the body. Now, a lot of that, there are a lot of things that can cause skin cancer, but there are ways that we can prevent it if it isn't something that just quote unquote runs in the family or. So we have ways that we can prevent it and have healthy, glowing skin. And one of the things that you told us that you're going to reveal all those secrets today. So we are going to dive right in to how can we keep this healthy skin? How can we reveal this beautiful skin that we have here, covering our body with diet, lifestyle? Like, tell us some of the simple things. Because you said you don't really need all of the 15 products, 13 other products that we're packing, carrying
Right.
on vacation with us. You can really narrow it down to some simple ways. And then all these toxins that this product has, that product has these toxins, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are some of your secrets that you're letting your patients know, that you're now letting us know? Because we're there thinking that we have to add all of these different toxins on our skin in order to achieve this beautiful skin. But you're letting us know that no, there are other ways. So please.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, and because it blows people's minds. And it's simple, but I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's
Absolutely.
simple.
Those things that
And
are simple are usually not easy to do because it's so simple.
exactly. And in this day and age, with marketing and consumerism, and I'm not saying I'm immune to it at all.
Mhm.
It makes you think you need all these products, all these 10-step things to have beautiful skin, and it's not true at all.
Oh,
If you were
man.
to see my toiletry bag when I go to the gym or I travel, I mean, it's like this big, it's tiny. So I guess to start with, I would say if you want healthy, beautiful skin, you can't just focus on your skin. You have to focus inside first. And
Mhm.
that's probably not going to come as a shock to a lot of doctors, but you have to, the whole human body, it's, you can't just focus on one organ and
Mhm.
mistreat all the others, because it's not
They
gonna.
all work together.
Absolutely. So if you are not eating right and you're not sleeping, it's
Mhm.
going to show in your skin, and you may be able to fool yourselves in your 20s, but by the time you're in your 40s, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yes,
Um,
all the secret is revealed.
So, I know I was not as diligent with taking care of myself when I was an intern, a resident,
Mhm.
and now I'm much better. But if I could just impart, take care of your body, eat well, these really restrictive diets where you're not eating any carbohydrates, or you eliminate all fat, or only protein. Your body really needs a balanced diet, and I'm not a dietitian, and each person's going to be individual and unique. But if you are doing these very restrictive or very calorically restrictive diets, your skin is going to suffer,
Mm.
and it's not going to be healthy and radiant. And likewise, if you're not sleeping, you are going to be tired. You're going to have dark circles under your eyes.
Mhm.
And, making that a priority, maybe it's not every night, but making that a priority can really, really help. Another thing that's an absolute, if you want nice skin, is that you have got to not smoke. And this is e-cigarettes, this is regular cigarettes, marijuana, any of that smoke is so damaging for your body and also your skin. So if
So
the skin is,
e-cigarettes are also damaging. I'm pretty sure those who are thinking like, well, I'm doing the e-cigarettes. I'm not really truly smoking because this is just a puff of electronic air, but it's still.
it's still nicotine. So it maybe
Mm.
doesn't have all the other harmful chemicals that a
Mhm.
cigarette has, but you are still consuming nicotine, and nicotine is a vasoconstrictor. It
Mhm.
impairs wound healing and oxygen delivery to your organs. So if you think by smoking e-cigarettes, it's not harmful, you're fooling yourself. So
Mm.
yeah, so smoking is an absolute no. And I'm going to say this, tanning is an absolute no
What?
too.
Alrighty, let's dig into tannin because I know that some people are like, uh, but I want this. I
I
want
know.
this shade. So go ahead and
Yeah.
let's
And
describe the challenges. And I think one of my our colleagues who Dr. Yinka, she says the sun is one of the most powerful like planets and or the rays of the sun.
yeah.
So you can't outdo it. So let's dig into how tannin is really affecting the skin, especially
Yes.
the early phases, because you feel like, oh, I'm great. The 20s are fools us as with the skin,
Yes.
right? But like you said, the
Yeah.
truth comes out in the 40s.
Yeah, it does. Yes, and it seems like everyone with my complexion wants to
Mhm.
be like 4 shades darker, and for a
Mhm.
lot of people it's not possible. It's not in your DNA. And I'm hoping we're coming to a time where we just embrace whatever you are,
Mhm.
and not try to be one color or one shade or different. Just embrace who you are. I have very pale skin. That's just the way it's going to be. When I try to tan, I burn and then I might tan. But really, just to start with, a tan is a
Mm-hmm.
sign of sun damage. And I don't think people realize this. In our
Nope.
country, we think, oh, a tan, that's a healthy glow. You look like you just were at the beach or on vacation. But really, when you tan, your skin is responding by putting what's called melanin, which produces a pigment in our skin. The melanin is moved in front of our cell's nucleus to
Mm-hmm.
protect the DNA in our cells. And
So
I don't think
essentially, at that point, the like you, it's like building like an army defense to protect
it,
his nucleus. At this point, it's
exactly.
like doing
It's
this, and you're like
exactly.
giving it more and more.
Right. So if you think a tan is healthy, it's actually your body trying to protect its DNA from being mutated. And people, when put
Poor
like that,
thing.
it doesn't sound so good. Um, it's kind of funny, nowadays it seems like we're a little more health conscious with some things, but not others.
Yes.
And people worry about, maybe you see this in the emergency department. They're nervous to get an X-ray or they're nervous to get a CT scan, right? Because
Yes.
they're worried about radiation, or maybe they're worried about flying on a plane once every
Mm-hmm.
6 months. Really, the sun is emitting radiation every single day. If the sun is in the sky, if it's light out, the sun is emitting radiation
Yes.
in the form of UVA and UVB wavelengths. And the longer wavelengths, which are the UVA wavelengths, can actually go through glass. So there's a famous picture in our dermatology textbooks of a woman who sat by a desk for like 40 years of her life, and the side of her face by the window
Mm-hmm.
was very aged. The side of her face away from the window looked great. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a stark reminder that even something sitting in front of or sitting by a window, who would have
Mm-hmm.
thought that you could get that much radiation from the sun sitting by a window? But you can. And that's why I say you got to wear sunscreen every day. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you can tan, you never burn. If you're a man, a woman, unless you are staying in your closet or basement all day, you are going to be outside. It might be driving in your car. It might be walking the dog, taking the kids
Mm-hmm.
to the park. You are going to be outside. I mean, I work in an office most of the day, but I still wear my sunscreen every day because I do have a commute, and then I'm not hiding in a dark room all day.
Absolutely. And that's I think one of the mindset that we have is, well, I'm inside. Why do I have to worry about this? But the commute, you
Yep.
forgot, the commute from where you are to the destination to your job is the summertime especially. Um, but the summertime especially, but not only. And I
Yeah.
have to say that because I think
Yeah.
our mindset is, well, I don't have to worry about it during the winter. But
Yeah.
as you said, if you see sun, you see radiation.
Exactly. If it's light out, the sun is out there, and it is so powerful. I mean,
Hmm.
it's out there, and even on a cloudy day, the clouds are not this impenetrable force that they can't go through. Now,
If
it
it's
is
going through
true.
glass, I think it's going through the
Yes.
clouds.
Yes. Um, it is true the UV index is not as high in the winter, and we're probably not spending as much time outside in the winter. But certainly, if you're skiing,
Mhm.
that snow reflects the light right on you. So, and you're high up when you're skiing.
So you're
So,
closer.
exactly. So, you really, I think it's just get in the habit of put it on every day, and you
Mm.
don't have to. There's so many different types of sunscreen nowadays, and people will say, well, what's the best one? And the best one, as long as it's SPF 30 or higher, is the
Okay.
one you're going to wear. So I don't care what brand you use. As
Just
long as
need
it covers
30 or
UVA and
higher.
B, yep, and it's 30 or higher. I just want you to have one you like that you're going to put on. If it feels gross, it feels greasy, feels thick, you're not going to wear it. So find
Get
one you
rid of it.
like and put it by your toothbrush, because you don't think about if you're going to brush your teeth, right?
Mhm.
So, put it on your shelf, and it's just there, and you use it every single day. Just get in the habit of doing it.
What about for the babies? Because I have two little boys. So mine are 6 and 4. And when they're heading out, I really only think about this as much. I am like the general population, so I'm not going to act like, yes, put on your sunscreen because I do. Dr. Mina is telling me I need to. So I'm like, oh, right, you're right. By the toothbrush, that's a great idea. So that's what's
Yeah.
going through my head. Now for the kids, is a 30 and higher SPF also for, like, say, we're not talking about like
Yeah.
babies, but
Yeah.
for, kids, you're 3, 4 years and older, the
Yeah.
same applies?
Yeah. So my only change would be for babies. Really try to keep them out of the sun when they're under 6 months of age.
Mm-hmm.
Their total body surface area is much higher, and I wouldn't recommend a chemical sunscreen. So really try to keep them out of the sun. And then over 6 months, I usually recommend a physical sunscreen, and that's going to be one that contains zinc or titanium.
Okay.
And those are safest for younger kids. Now, people don't love those because a lot of them can leave that sort of thick
Like a
white
chalky thing.
residue.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids are 8 and 9, and what they like to use, and we keep it by the door. They like the stick sunscreen, and they can actually put it on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go, and it's by the door, and they'll put it on themselves. And I'm just like you all, it's not always easy to get sunscreen on your children.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would say do the best you can. One thing
Absolutely.
that I have really instilled in my children, though, is wearing hats. And they
Mm-hmm.
actually will wear hats pretty agreeably. They have a cute, like, what is it? The Hungry Caterpillar, like, trucker hat.
Oh, yes.
And they always see mom put her hat on, and they'll wear their hat. So if we're going to the park, or they're going to be out more than just recess at school, I do
Mm-hmm.
always try to make sure they have a hat. And that just kind of brings me to another point. It's not just sunscreen. You can also protect your skin by just covering it up. And that can mean a lot of different things. That can mean wearing a rash guard bathing suit, which I
Mm-hmm.
love for children. In fact, my son feels exposed to not have his rash guard shirt on, even when he's indoor at an indoor pool. So, I like the cover up. So the rash guards.
Mm-hmm.
I like wearing a hat when I'm outside, and if I'm outside, I try to stand under, like, an awning or the shade, rather than just where the
Just
sun is just
directly in the
beating
sun.
right down on me. So if you're not a big sunscreen fan, just do the morning routine, and
Mm-hmm.
then try to just physically cover yourself up if you're going to be outside.
I love it, love it, love it. Alrighty. So now let's get into the other things that some people do not like to do. I love water. Some people just hate water. Hydration is just so important. So tell us, like, how important is hydration in this whole formula?
Gosh, it's so important. But I have a funny story that when I was a resident trying to get disability insurance, I would not drink water during the day. I would have a Diet Coke, and that's it, because I didn't want to have to waste time going to the bathroom when
Yes.
I was in the hospital and busy. And so I would purposely not drink water. And I just think back, because then my urinalysis for my disability insurance showed that I had protein in my urine. I thought,
Proteins,
oh
your
my,
ketones are all.
yeah. So that was a wake. They didn't catch it, but that was a wake up call. Like, you need water. You need to drink water. So now I'm a big water fan. I carry a water bottle. Now, I'm not one of those, like, huge water
You're
bottle
not the
people,
two
but
gallon
but
water
it's a
bottle
big
carrier?
one. It's a big one. And I carry it with me. I have it during the day, but and now if I don't have water, I really miss it.
Yes.
So water is so important for your health in general, and especially your skin. If you're dehydrated, it's going to show in your skin. It's going to be cracked, peeling, dry. It's not going to be shining. It's not going to look good. So if keeping your skin nice is the only way I can get you to drink water, so be it. But there's
So
so many great benefits to drinking water. So, I think carrying a water bottle around, like a refillable one,
mhm.
that really helps you drink water throughout the day because it's right there. So that's been a great way for me to incorporate more water into my diet. And look at that.
Hey, right? I know. Not saying anything, but yeah, just finished mine too. I love water. Alrighty,
Yeah.
so we talked about like diet. We did talk about how important a balanced diet is and with hydration. Before we get into really the lifestyle part, I wanted to just tap back into diet and ask about, are there any particular foods that causes or increases the chance, like say for skin, like for those who might like break out, like, I'm pretty sure acne is a big thing that people talk about.
Yeah.
We know a balanced diet is great for the skin overall, but are there any foods, not to restrict yourself, but to just keep in mind that might affect your skin in one
Yeah.
way or the other?
So in general, people a lot of times if they get a rash on their skin, a lot of times they will associate it with a food, and they can sometimes be really restrictive in their diet, and this
Mhm.
can be pretty problematic, especially with kids, where you really want them to be eating a wide range of things.
Right.
So if you are worried about a food allergy, then I would definitely see a dermatologist, and then probably see an allergist for
Mhm.
allergy testing. A lot of the times it's not related, and then it's good to incorporate that food back into your diet.
Mhm.
Now, certainly there are conditions like celiac and they can't have gluten. Um, but to your point about acne, so there are a lot of reasons why people get acne. It could be, if someone more my age, it tends to be more hormonal versus,
Mhm.
teenagers, it's higher oil production. But if you are struggling with acne, it's not because you ate a pepperoni pizza or greasy food or
Or that bowl
chocolate.
of or that bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, that's not true. However, they have found that milk, a lot of dairy. So if you
Mhm.
are struggling with acne, maybe cutting out high glycemic index foods, and especially milk can be helpful. So
Mhm.
but acne can be really multifactorial. So I wouldn't expect to just cut out milk and all of a sudden your acne gets better. There are other things to do as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Are there any foods that are just really good foods to have? Because like our skin is such an important aspect of our body, and a lot of times we take it for granted because we're like, it's just there. But I mean, it's the largest organ in our body. Let's just be honest. And
Yeah.
with that, it's also protects us
Hmm.
and it regenerates whenever we damage it. So we want to be able to have it as at its optimal point. So are there any foods, especially that has a lot of great micronutrients that people just don't think about, that you're like, what, these are really great food to help to build and keep strong? Because even with the skin, like for the healthy hair and all that, we're still starting from the
Right.
skin. So, any
Yeah.
foods that you'd say, like, wow, these are really great foods to incorporate in your diet to keep yourself nice and healthy and to have great skin and great hair and things like that.
So it's really not just one food or one thing. It's really
Mhm.
the whole balance, because you
Yeah.
need, complex carbohydrates
Mhm.
for energy and your
Yes.
brain. You need protein for your muscles and collagen, and you
Yes.
need fruits and veggies for all the antioxidants to fight free radicals. And
Mhm.
I hate to name, like, pomegranates only, and then
Well, I
everyone's
just
gonna
had
just
some pomegranate yesterday, so I'm doing
you know,
well.
but it's a balance of eating all of those. And I would say the
Absolutely.
more whole the fruit, that's not the word. Obviously trying to get it in its
In
purest
its
form,
purest form. Yes.
not in a package, in a bag,
Mhm.
where it's straight from the grocery store, straight from the farm to the grocery store to you,
Hmm.
not highly processed foods. Those are going to give you a lot of calories and very little nutritional benefit. So, and
Hmm.
not shying away from fat. I remember growing up, fat was like the worst. No one,
Yes.
everything was no fat, low fat. You need fat. Fat is what, or lipids are what hold our skin cells together. And when you don't
Hmm.
have healthy fats, it will be dry and your skin barrier is damaged. So, everyone knows salmon and fish oil, all of that can be really helpful.
Hmm.
Again, it's all about balance, and it's not that there's, at least the way I see it, is there's not one bad thing or one thing you should avoid. It's all in moderation. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you've even just discussed the fat, because this fat is like the word that you don't use. You think like the F word is like another curse word, like the F word, fat is like but
Right.
our body needs it. And as you mentioned so aptly, that our skin barrier, it's being held together underneath by fat. So the healthy fats, a great balanced diet is important. It's the foundation of great skin and great health. So
Yeah.
do not shy away from one thing versus the other. And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of those who are really into, especially lifestyle medicine, those who are into nutrition, those who are into letting the general population know that a lot of restrictive style of eating, it's not really the best ways to really incorporate all of the nutrients within us to keep us as healthy as possible. And as you mentioned, the skin is kind of revealer. It'll reflect
Yes.
what's going on even
It
when we
really
don't want
does.
to. It's like the teller of the secrets of what's
A-
going
ab-
on inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, someone they may not care about their diabetes, but when they start seeing skin manifestations, they're like, oh, wait, hold
Yes.
on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of that. Now, lifestyle. What are some additional lifestyle things? Because, diet and hydration, great. But then lifestyle, we've talked about, the sunblocks and also rash guards that helps
Yeah.
putting on hats, staying in the shade. Keep it in mind that the UV it penetrates through glass.
Yeah.
So but what are some additional lifestyle recommendations that you can tell us that can help us to keep healthy, glowing skin? And all of this is without, we haven't even talked about any products right now. Remember,
Right.
we've just really been talking about natural things that people can do that are everyday things to keep healthy, glowing skin. So let's talk about the lifestyle component.
Yeah. So exercise is critical, right? It's
Hmm.
so important for our overall health, for our mental health. I mean, that's one thing I realize now. I'm not just working out because I want to look amazing. I'm
Hmm.
working out because my mental health needs that. I need those endorphins. I feel good. I feel
Hmm.
better. It's a healthy way to manage stress
Yes,
versus going and eating or drinking and or doing other risky behavior. But
absolutely.
exercise is a great way to get your muscles pumping, sweating, endorphins, and to keep you at a healthy weight. Help with bone and osteoporosis. So it just has so many great benefits. And I don't think you have to, do CrossFit or marathons or all this extreme stuff. Exercise may be walking during your lunch break. I know
Hmm.
for me and probably in your field, we're on our feet a lot. I really don't sit down. And then I see my front office, they're trying to get their steps in because they are sitting more. So just being active throughout your day. And I know that can be hard for a lot of people depending on what your job is. So you may have to get creative about doing it before work or at a lunch break or in the evening. But incorporating some sort of movement into your day can be so therapeutic and definitely something that I think is key to not just a healthy body, but healthy skin too.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there's some people that when we talked about nicotine being vasoconstrictive, exercise is not
Yeah.
the opposite, right?
Yeah.
That glow, it's opening the vessels,
Yeah.
all the beautiful blood is just rushing up to the top, and it's just like, oh, give me
Yeah.
that oxygen. And there goes that glow. There goes
Yeah.
that exercise glow.
Yeah. That dopamine hit.
That dopamine hit, and you're like, I feel amazing.
Yes.
Yes. So all of these wonderful things. Now, for a simple routine, what are some things that I guess we could say, like, what is in your gym bag, your
Yeah.
small little travel pack that is a simple routine for those who are listening, or we could do the routine for the 20s. You know, the 20-year-olds, I love you guys, but I'm hashtag hating right now. I
I
should have thought
know.
about this when I was in my 20s. And then the 30-year-olds who are like, oh, wow, yeah, you know what? I might need to change some ways. And
Yeah.
then for the 40-year-olds who are like, gosh, I wish I thought about this in my 20s. Let's talk
Yes.
about some quick routines that they can do with, like we said, the minimalist routine to keep great, healthy skin with what's in your
Yeah,
travel kit.
absolutely. So I think it's pretty amazing that in this, hour-long talk, we're only now getting to actual products in the last 15 minutes. But I think that's really telling because
Mhm.
there's no magic cream that you can put on that's going to replace all these other benefits that we were talking about. And
Absolutely.
people will try to sell you something, absolutely, or tell you, but it's not true. So that's why we're harping on all these other things that you can do
Mhm.
because the products, that's really kind of, that's kind of the icing on the cake.
Yes.
You don't need a lot of products. Now I know some people, they love products. It's their thing. They love to try them out. They're beautiful. They smell good and all that, but you don't need that. So I would say kind of if you want to take a real minimalistic approach,
Mhm.
or here's what I do. In the morning, if my skin is kind of dry or it's wintertime, sometimes I just splash water on it, or I'll use a little bit of a gentle cleanser. And
Mhm.
people are usually surprised that I use the Dove white cleansing bar. I call it soap. I don't know if they want me to call it soap, but it's that white bar, and
Yes.
that's what I use. And I have a little rubber pad that I use just to help me rub it on. But it's real gentle. I'm not exfoliating.
Right.
And that's what I do in the morning. And then I like Elta MD sunscreen, and I put that on, and that's about it. If my skin
Wow.
is dry, I will also put a moisturizer on. And as I'm getting, older, I'm now almost 43. I do find my skin is getting drier. So I used to not need a moisturizer at all, but now I tend to need one. And so I will just I use CeraVe cream in the big tub for my winter. And then in the summer, I'll transition to more of a lotion. And I
Mhm.
just put that on wherever I'm dry. And then I put on my makeup or I'm out the door. So it really can be that simple. You do not need a 10-step, 15-minute skincare routine at all. I mean, that really, if you really want to do the bare minimum, that's it. Use a gentle cleanser, use a sunscreen, and a moisturizer if your skin is dry. Now, if you're in your 20s, you might be struggling with acne. So
Mhm.
you may want to use like a salicylic acid face wash. Like Neutrogena makes like a pink grapefruit one that kind of smells nice. And you may also want to use like a benzoyl peroxide product if you're getting breakouts. So that might be different. You may want to use a sunscreen that is non-comedogenic, meaning it will not clog your pores, and maybe one that's has no moisturizer in it, since your skin
Mhm.
is probably pretty oily. So that might be one difference for someone in their 20s. Someone in your 30s is probably still sort of fluctuating between maybe a little acne.
You're yeah.
During pregnancy, a lot of things can happen in your skin. For some women, their skin gets beautiful and they don't have to do anything. And then for
Mhm.
others, it gets worse. So it really just kind of depends what's going on. But, you know, as you age, your skin does tend to lose moisture. So applying a thicker moisturizer may be necessary,
Mhm.
more so than kind of what I do, spot treating. But that really can be as simple, if you want it to be. Now, you also have to think about, well, I know vitamin C is really popular, and I don't have
Mhm.
a problem with vitamin C. And in fact, I do recommend it for certain patients. But if you need to know, well, why am I using it, right?
Yeah, that's
If
true. I
you
wanna glow. Is that the reason?
well, you can't. So if you feel like your skin is dull, or you have some brown spots or some sun damage, then you may want to use a vitamin C serum. I do think that is worth investing in. And again, you don't have to you could go to the drugstore and get one. Um,
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be $100. But that is something you may want to throw into the mix if you do have some sun damage that you're trying to kind of erase. So, that's just the bare minimum or really that's all you need, unless you're trying to
They're talking
specifically
about
treat something.
hyaluronic acid and retinol.
Well,
Are those our 40-year-old is that our 40-year-old skin regimen?
so hyaluronic acid is great for adding moisture. So
Oh.
if you have more oily or normal skin, you may not need it. Hyaluronic acid is also incorporated into a lot of products already. So
Mm.
it's probably already in something that you're using, and I wouldn't think you need to add it in addition. Okay. And
So really
especially if,
check your products.
yeah,
You
look and
probably
see
already
what's
have
in
it.
it. Right.
Mhm.
Now, for my evening routine,
Mhm.
it's a little more complicated.
Mhm.
I'm kidding.
She was like, "I washed my face again."
So I wash my face again, which, really, you should wash your face before you go to bed for sure. You want to
Mhm.
remove all the dirt and the grime, makeup. Again, I use my Dove bar cleanser. I don't do a double wash. I dry my face on my towel, and if it looks like I didn't get it all, I'll do it again. But once should be fine. And then I let my skin dry for about 60 seconds. And then I take a tiny little pea of my retinol. I use a prescription strength called tretinoin, and
Mhm.
I dot that on my face. I do it on my neck. Now that I'm in my 40s, I include my
Do
neck.
that.
And that's it. And if I my skin's been really dry with the retinol, then I will add a little moisturizer on as well if I need it. And I don't
There's
even do
really
that.
3 steps, 3 steps for the
Yeah,
morning and 3 for the evening.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Because
that
as
and
you mentioned, most of it's from the inside out
yeah,
anyway.
right. And what I tell people who come to see me for cosmetic things, or, what I first tell them is, let's get your complexion beautiful and healthy. Let's make sure you're not tanning and you're not in the sun, because if and make sure you're doing these lifestyle changes, because if you're not, you're literally, you might as well take your money and set it on fire. I mean, you're wasting it, um,
Wow.
and you're not going to get the results you want. So you've really got to do all these things together. Um,
I love
I
it.
was going to say one other thing about the retinol, or the
Mhm.
tretinoin. I am a big fan of that, and I think if you're looking for a simple anti-aging strategy, getting on board with that is key. And even started in your 20s, it's great for acne. So a lot of people use it in their teenage years, in their 20s, and you can just you'll pause it when you're pregnant, but you can just keep using that onward. And it's like 60 bucks for a tube that'll last you a long, long time. So that's my routine. That's kind of the bare minimum. Now,
Mhm.
I also do cosmetic things, so I'm not going to say, that's all I do. And
Look at this.
but if you really want simple and a natural approach, that's all you have to do, and you'll have
Love
beautiful
it.
skin.
I love it, love it, love it. Wow. Lots and lots of gems. Like we said, lots of secrets revealed, the simplicity of it all, starting from the inside out,
Yeah,
ensuring that you have a balanced diet, including fats, the
yeah.
important fats in your diet, the lifestyle, hydrating, water, water, water,
Yes.
water, carrying that around with you, exercising, staying away from nicotine products, smoking, all great ways, tanning. No.
Yeah. No.
Put it on the sunscreen, wearing a hat, just keeping in mind that the sun, once the sun is out, the radiation's there. So
Yes.
all of that is a part. Now, how does Dr. Mina take care of herself in order to prevent burnout?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that's something that we're all trying to balance and work
Absolutely.
on. And really, the pandemic was kind of a wake up call for me, like I think it was
Mhm,
for a lot of people.
mhm.
And one of the ways, well, first of all, I really love what I do. So I have so much fun, and my job is a joy, and I love my patients, and I have a great business partner. So I feel really, really blessed that it's our own practice and we can run it how we feel is best for our patients. And
Mhm.
I think having that autonomy has helped prevent burnout.
Yes.
But I'm also a mom. I'm a wife, wearing a lot of hats, and it's easy to get burned out. And what I've really tried to focus on is me time. And
Yes.
it used to feel selfish to have me time. And now I realize, you know what? If I need this to be a better mom, to be a better doctor, to be a better wife,
Mhm.
and I really prioritize exercise, and I love my yoga class. So to me, I need that at least a couple times a week to really just replenish my soul. And I have
Absolutely.
also really, I have a wonderful, very supportive husband, which is key. I think that's one of
Mhm.
the most important business decisions as a woman you can make.
Yes.
But I also have really valuable girlfriends,
Mhm.
and I have a strong community of moms in my neighborhood that I can really rely on, um, to have my back and to get together and to commiserate with. And we're all just really honest, and we can
Oh,
say,
yeah.
hey, my kids are driving me crazy today, and you know, they're
And
not
they
going to
know
judge
that
you.
you're saying that, and this is life, and it's a part
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah.
And, like you said, you commiserate together.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Alrighty,
Having
so
having that
here's
community, and I think having these communities like you've
oh, yeah.
started, and there's so many groups out there for doctors to be a part of. I love it that we're more than just doctors. I'm more than just a mom or a wife
Yes.
or a doctor. That we're multifaceted, and I've really enjoyed being a part of some of these physician groups,
Yes.
and that's also just been really nourishing too.
Love it, love it, love it. So here's my fun question of the day. If you weren't a doctor or a ballerina, what would you be?
Gosh. I think this is still allowed. I love Cirque du Soleil, and I am
Yes.
just always amazed, like, how do they do that? How do they run these productions, do these crazy things? I would love to be like backstage at or part of their show and see how they do it. To me, it just blows my mind. And
Yes.
they just seem like such creative, talented people, and
So
just
you'd like to be behind the
superhuman.
scenes to
So,
learn how they do the talent, how they put
yes,
all the talents together. Love
yes,
it.
these productions. I don't know why that
No,
would
because
just
it's
be awesome.
fascinating. It's visual, it's like, it's science, it's art, it's like everything together. Why
Yes.
not?
Yeah, but I'm biting my nails the whole time I watch. I'm like, please don't fall. That was high enough. You don't need to do that again.
Love, love, love. Well, this is a wonderful, wonderful interview. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, Dr. Mina. Now, I know those who are listening are wondering, where can they find you? Where can they find Dr. Mina? Where can they get your podcast? Tell us, Where
Yeah,
can
so
these people get in contact
my
with you?
my handle on social media is at Dr. Mina Skin, and my podcast is The Skin Real, REAL, and it's on Spotify, Apple. You can find it on my website too, theskinreal.com. And I am a full-time practicing Mohs surgeon and dermatologist in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm at Baucom and Mina Derm Surgery, which our website is atlantadermsurgery.com.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. This was so enlightening. And I love the simplicity of the routines because, as we said, that's just the icing on the cake. The
Yeah.
real work starts before. Real work starts from within, and all the decisions that you make throughout life. Okay, you 20-year-olds, we're not hating on you. You just have more time.
That's right. That's right. Go drink water. Don't
Go
just drink
drink some
Diet Coke.
water. And put on your sunscreen. Love,
That's
love,
right.
love. So thank you so much, Dr. Mina. I know those who are listening are wondering, oh my gosh, where can I hear this again? I need to get all of that greatness that she gave us, all of that great info. Have no fear. You can find this wonderful interview on our Your Caring Docs website that YourCaringDocs.com. Select podcast, and you'd be able to see and listen to this interview. And if you are a doctor and you would love, love, love to be part of the show, do not hesitate to send me an email at drbeckford@yourcaringdocs.com to book. Do keep in mind we are booked out a few months in advance, like 3 months in advance, because you guys are just so awesome. And you're giving all of us such awesome information. And I love, love, love the fact that we are showing the world all the great and amazing thing us doctors are doing inside and outside of clinical medicine. So today's show was all about the skin. We learned so much about it. And we thank our wonderful guest, Dr. Mina. Thank you so much, Dr. Mina, for stopping by and blessing us with these secrets to reveal on how to keep our skins healthy and glowing with almost minimal amount of excessive, like harmful products.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Beckford, and thanks for all the great work you're doing for doctors out there.
Thank you, guys. Well, have a great time. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.